All right, everybody, I'm April Garfoli, recovery consultant, licensed professional clinical counselor, and today on Rehab for the Soul Uncut, we're going to be talking about those 4 rules that apply within the addict, alcoholic, dysfunctional family and how you can break them. So let's get down to it, guys. Rule number 1 of the addict, alcoholic, dysfunctional family is always don't talk. Rule number 1, don't talk. And basically, a lot of you have heard the term secrets keep you sick. You are only as sick as your secrets. This is where this starts. So if you grew up in a family where there was substance abuse or any type of trauma or abuse, it doesn't necessarily have to be drugs or alcohol. It doesn't even have to be parental drugs and alcohol. This can go back several generations. So these rules are going to be important for you to take a look at because they're going to be impacting the relationships you have today. And that's why it's important to understand how we can stop playing by the rules. So the first rule, don't talk. Don't talk. Secrets keep you sick. Don't talk outside of the family, guys. That is the first rule, which you're going to learn in the dysfunctional family. I don't know how many of you grew up with alcoholism in your family. I know I did. It runs generational. And maybe you heard a little something like this. Children should be seen and not heard. Yeah, children should be seen and not heard. So you learn at a very young age, you don't talk outside of the family. You don't even talk within the family. So you have your immediate family and then you can have extended family around you. You don't ever talk about what's going on. So that means you don't talk about the drinking, you don't talk about the drugging, who's doing it, and you just don't talk about the family problems in general. Maybe mom and dad aren't getting along, they're always fighting. You don't go and tell your friends about that. You don't go to school and talk about that. You don't talk about that to your teachers. You don't talk about that to professionals who are going to help you. That's against the rules. But you just keep that within the family, okay? And the reason that that's so dangerous is because if you don't learn to talk about things, obviously, situations and problems don't ever get resolved because we all need help. And the way we get that is by talking to people and sharing what's going on in our lives. So, rule number 1, don't talk. Rule number 2, don't trust. Don't trust. So, growing up in an addict alcoholic family, you know, just like I do, the addict alcoholic is going to constantly be hiding and lying. They're going to go to any extremes to protect their drug use or their drinking. And this, again, goes for the dysfunctional behaviors. So hiding and lying is very prevalent. And when somebody is constantly lying to you and hiding things from you, eventually trust goes within the relationship. Okay, you don't trust anybody that's continuously doing that to you. And when you don't have trust there, you don't have intimacy within the relationship. So you're always fearful of what's going to happen next. You don't know what to anticipate. There's really no predictability. So you don't trust. And so if you can't trust people within your family circle, you're also not going to trust people out of the family circle. And that is huge, okay? So the biggest danger that the rule of don't trust plays is people that are there to help you. Maybe they're teachers, they're professionals, counselors, therapists, mentors, coaches, things like that. Authority figures. It's a big one. Authority figures like police officers and the community authority figures, you know. When you don't trust your parents, you're not going to trust outside authority figures because your parents are the authority figures in the home. Okay. And so if one of them is using, or if, you know, their parents use, this is where the don't trust rule comes in. So you learn real quick not to trust. And not only do you not trust people who should be able to help you, you don't trust yourself because the behavior of the addict, alcoholic, or the dysfunctional family member is so unpredictable that when you want to think things are going to go one way, it's so erratic and they go another, you learn that, hey, not only can I not trust anybody else, but even my own judgment sometimes doesn't turn out the way I thought it was going to. So don't talk, don't trust. Okay. Third rule, don't feel. Yeah, you're not allowed to have feelings. This goes back to the children should be seen and not heard rule. We got that a lot in my family. Generations of alcoholism growing up. Children should be seen and not heard. Okay. Your feelings don't matter. No one wants to hear about them because the focus is going to be on, again, the family member that's dysfunctional, the family member that's drinking and drugging. So when we learn at a very young age that our feelings don't matter, we are always putting other people first in relationships. We are putting other people ahead of us in relationships. And the danger in doing that is our emotional needs, spiritual needs, they don't end up getting met. And when we constantly, continuously put others' needs before our own, resentment can build up really fast, really quick. So that might look like you're constantly going out of your way to anticipate the needs of somebody else in the family or your partner. And so you're taking care of that at a rapid pace, getting everything done for them that you think they need. And meanwhile, you're on the back burner. Your health starts to deteriorate. You're tired all the time. You're exhausted. You're fatigued. So don't talk, don't trust, don't feel. Your feelings don't matter. Nothing gets resolved for you emotionally. And the last rule of the dysfunctional family is don't move. Okay, don't move. In other words, moving equals action. Don't change. There is a great level of fear of change within the addict, alcoholic, dysfunctional family. Everything needs to be kept exactly as it is. There's a fear of people changing. Everything needs to stay exactly the same. And the problem with that is life is constantly changing. People are constantly changing. We're always evolving. We're growing. And if you're stuck in the rule of rigidity, okay, if you're very rigid, meaning there's not flexibility there for people to grow, there's no room for growth in relationships and individually and as the family unit as a whole, you're constantly kept in the box. Change is healthy, change is good. And when you grow up and you go out into the world and you've come from a family where you've been taught the don't move, don't change rule, you don't handle change well at all. And so that can be change in the workplace, that can be change in your environment, that can be moving away from home to pursue things that, interest you. You just don't feel like you can do because you're not going to get the support from your family unit that you would like. And this often happens. This happens with the addict alcoholic, the don't change rule, because even though addiction and dysfunctional families don't like change, they're going to constantly blame the addict alcoholic for the problems that the family's having. And it's going to sound a little something like this. If you would just go to rehab and get sober, we wouldn't have the problems that we have, because the biggest problem we have in this family is that you're an addict alcoholic. All right. So all of the family's problems will have a tendency to get dumped on the person who is dysfunctional or drinking and drugging. And one day, something often happens in families where the addict alcoholic will go out and they will seek treatment and they will seek help. And they do come back to the family and they have changed. And they're hopeful because they think, hey, I'm sober now, all the problems are going to go away. And unfortunately, the newly sober addict alcoholic comes back to the family, and they're often initially met with, feelings of joy and gratitude, but that really fades away really quickly because the family hasn't changed. The addict alcoholic has, but the family hasn't changed. They haven't looked at their issues because remember, secrets keep you sick. And this is a family systems disease. So everybody in the family gets sick. and especially because they're abiding by the 4 rules. And so when the family doesn't change, and the addict alcoholic does, you have this imbalance of power. We call that a power differential. And this can also seem like sometimes the addict alcoholic will hear, well, you just think you're better than us now that you got sober, or who do you think you are, or you need to remember where you came from. And that is the attempt to pull them back down. And a lot of times it works because they're like, well, I don't know what else I can do. I went out, I'm not using anymore, but those underlying problems in the current hasn't changed. The vibration of the problem hasn't changed within the family unit as a whole. And until that happens, it's very, very difficult to break the cycle of dysfunction in the alcoholic dysfunctional family. So there you have it. 4 rules of the addict alcoholic dysfunctional family. Don't talk, don't trust, don't feel, don't move. How do we break them? Well, the first thing you need to do is usually give yourself some space and do what we call detaching with love. If you can detach with love, meaning give yourself the space individually to grow, seek out help from trusted professionals, support groups, coaches, and start to do the work, the internal work and healing that needs to be done, and start getting honest with yourself first that, hey, something isn't right here. This doesn't feel right. This isn't okay. It's not healthy. And so you need to do that work independently of the family first. And I don't recommend going back to the family and saying, hey, we're living according to these sick rules. Things need to change. When you do that, sometimes things get worse. So know your role, know who you are, know that you're worthy of healing, unconditional love, joy, peace, that you are powerful and you are a spiritual being. Trust your intuition, follow the path that's set out for you, follow the divine path that is you, and healing is bound to happen for you. And so there you have it, the 4 rules of the addict alcoholic dysfunctional family. Hey guys, if you enjoy our channel, we would love to have you. I would love to have you subscribe. Rehab for the Soul. If you're interested in more tips on how to stay sober and spiritual, please subscribe to our channel and be sure to hit the bell next to the subscribe button so that you can be notified of all new content that is uploaded. All right, until next time, you guys know what I say. It ain't perfect, but it's rock and roll, and we'll catch you on the flip. Thanks for tuning in this week.